We begin tonight in Abuja, where the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, Neda Imaseo, has indefinitely adjourned Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's sexual harassment case against the Senate President. The probe follows a petition submitted by one of Senator Natasha's constituents accusing the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, of gross misconduct, abuse of office and sexual harassment. But tensions flared during the hearing as Senator Peter Nweboyi and a former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, who were both present at the hearing as witnesses, indulged in a heated argument.
No, see, look at it. It's on defamation. It's on sexual harassment. Okay. Yes, as I said, yes, there are two.
Madam Professor, is to allow you follow his argument.
Okay. So there are two suits, as I said earlier, where the wife of distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio sued to enforce her fundamental human rights. No, see, look at it. It's on defamation. It's on sexual
because he has taken a stand publicly on this issue. And that is why we cannot sit here and take a court in front of him.
You don't have the right to
do that.
Oh, we do. We're citizens and
we are here.
What we are here to do is to take the fever control evidence. When we take the fever control evidence.
Yes, we wanted our viewers to see the altercation that transpired in the Senate Ethics Committee today, and Sagir Ibrahim, our National Assembly correspondent, was there. He joins me now from the nation's capital. Sagir, tell us what you witnessed at the plenary this Tuesday.
Good evening, Adisha. Thank you for having me on tonight. So, all of what we watched is basically a culmination of a petition that was first submitted by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan on the 5th of March, which was thrown out by the Senate after it described it as dead on arrival. You would recall that the chairman of the Ethics Committee had mentioned that because Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan had signed the petition herself, the petition was inadmissible, in the Senate and to the committee. Subsequently, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan on the 6th of March had submitted another petition, this time filed by one of her constituents, where she alleged gross misconduct, abuse of power, and also sexual harassment claims, against the president of the Senate. When that happened, the Senate president referred the petition to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions, which we saw start earlier today, to begin work on the petitions, investigations, if you may. So when they commenced the hearing, they had invited the petitioners to go under oath, but they had expressed concern that the chairman of the committee, he chairing the committee, sort of gives them doubts as to whether they would be granted fair hearing or not. And this simply was because the chairman prior to today had granted an interview to one of the flagship television stations where he had explicitly described the petition submitted by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as dead on arrival. Now, because of this, they claim that they're not sure whether they will be heard fairly. In spite of efforts for them to take this oath, they remained persistent that they weren't going to do so. Interestingly, Suberu Yakubu, who was actually the petitioner who signed the petition that was submitted by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, subsequently took the oath, but then insisted that he wasn't going to say anything simply because his primary witness, in this case, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, was not present in the hearing, and as such, he would not be able to present his case if that happens. However, between the back and forth, we're still unclear, particularly as to what was said by either Senator Nwabonyi or the former Minister of Education, but we had name callings, we had shut up, we had you're a scoundrel, and we had other issues that then broke out to be what we can see all across the media space and even the social media to be an altercation between the senator and the former Minister of Education.
Sagir, if you will indulge us, oblige us, can you tell us who said what, if you know?
Unfortunately, Alicia, I didn't get the question. If you would repeat it
My
again.
question is, who said what? And at what time? What did you hear each of these two people say?
Okay, so initially I heard the former Minister of Education say to the senator, it was low, but then I heard shut up. And I heard her say, you're a scoundrel. And
what did he say before she said shut up? She obviously was responding to something. Do we know? Because that account is not anywhere on the internet right now. As to what Senator Nwabwe said that made the former Minister of Education to shut him up.
Adisha, if you can hear me, initially the main argument was whether the petitioners were willing to take the oath before they commenced with their testimony or not. Now, the former Minister of Education had insisted that she wasn't going to go under oath because of the concerns that she had. Now, I'm not sure whether Senator Nwabonyi was speaking explicitly to her or he was addressing the chairman of the committee. However, like I said, we were paying attention to all of what was going on, but then I heard shut up and I heard you're a scoundrel. I'm not certain what Senator Nwabonyi had said to provoke that response from her, but I believe that was the beginning of the altercation that we have now seen has gone viral.
Sagir, just hold that thought. I'd like to quickly bring in Dr. Abiola Akiode, counsel to the petitioner, who was also at the Senate hearing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You were right next to the former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, and you saw what happened. By your own account, what really transpired there?
Well, it was obvious that the Senate members present were actually not ready to go on with the matter. And then they were just trying to provoke us and also to shut us down. There were attempts by myself as the counsel, the petitioner, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, to speak. At a point in time, we even agreed to speak. She even agreed to take the oath and then come in as a witness, which was what they said, that's the rule. What they said the rule was about. But they were not going to allow us. They wanted to subject us to a culture of silence. So it was while that was going on that the senator from Ebonyi State had come up with some tantrums, was just screaming, shouting, and we thought that the Senate should have cautioned him at that point in time. And that was when the crisis started between him and Dr. Obi.
Can you describe to us the sort of tantrum that he was throwing at the time? Because we see it in the video. We see him shoving away another woman who was trying to keep him calm, and he just kept going on. At the initial stages, we could see that Dr. Ezekwesili was calm, but then, of course, how long can you stay calm with somebody else just yelling at you like that, and then she went off also? You could tell us about that.
One of the things he said, which, of course, will provoke anyone, was when he started talking about, he first said he was there when the Senate President and Senator Natasha met in Akwa Ibom. He was actually the one who would come and give, is a witness, to the respondent, and that all these women, they are birds of the same feather and all of that. So it started with that kind of thing. And it was at that point that Dr. Obi said, shut up. Because the senators were also trying to tell him to calm down, and allow the proceeding to go on, that it was not possible for him as a respondent, to bring his, to respond to the issues that have not been asked, because we have not clarified from the petitioner, whether the petitioner was ready to go on or not. So there was absolutely nothing for him to respond to.
Right.
So, but it was screaming there. So that was when the issue of shut up came up, because he started it, by just talking, throwing tantrums, telling us that you are birds of the same feather. Look at you, 70-year-old woman, coming here, to talk on behalf of, So he had a lot of things he was saying.
Right.
He had a lot of things he was saying. So she was just telling him, shut up. One, because we were not even called, to speak. So that was what happened there.
Right. So why was it necessary for you to ask Senator Massey to step down as chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics?
All right. And I think that's actually the issue. Now, when we got there, we explained to them that there were two conditions that would make us to continue that proceeding, and that it was important for the committee to make a ruling on those issues. One was that the committee, as set up today, is biased. We have had some members of the committee who had expressed their opinion on the issue. The rule of fair hearing allows you not to be a judge in your own case. So we addressed that as a fundamental issue, and they had asked us to prove it. And we brought one of the newspaper report, which showed that Senator Masuen, on the 5th of March, had called a press briefing where he said Senator Natasha's petition is dead on arrival. So we had brought that before them, and we had asked them to set up a special committee that is unbiased, that would be able to address this issue. This issue is a national issue. It's an international issue. It's an issue that borders on the integrity. So it's a serious issue. So that was one of the points we had raised. The second point was that even if Senator Natasha is bringing this petition through a petitioner, it's still important, because one of the paragraphs in the petition says that Senator Natasha has the video and documentary evidence that she can use to prove the case. And the petitioner had asked in that affidavit that the committee should allow Senator Natasha to come before the committee to present her evidence. And that was put before them. So we asked them to make a ruling on those two issues, because if they don't, it will not be fair, on the petitioner to come and argue as a third party when he is not the principal witness in that matter. To allow our principal witness, Senator Natasha, to come to the House to defend those issues with the evidence that she has. And so that was where we had the crisis with them. They refused to agree on that, and they decided to go ahead and rule the House the Senate the way they wanted it to go, the committee the way they wanted it to go. We had a lot of interesting discussions there. They were telling us to off the mic. They were telling us we don't know the rules and all of that. But I would have expected that a committee of that nature, dealing with ethics and privileges, when you want to start a hearing of that nature, you should have your ground rules. You should let the people that are coming before you know these are the rules here, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. We just got there and said, you need to take an oath, this is the rule here and all of that. And we said, no, guys, calm down. Let's understand what your rules are all about, so that we then understand how to deal with this. So we had that kind of issues at the beginning. But at a point in time, we said, okay, we're ready to take the oath, but we need you to respond to these two issues, which they dodged and they never responded to until the end of the meeting. Now, but, to then go back to what then happened, because it was obvious that they had a plan. They had a plan, and what they wanted us to do was to fall into their plan. But unfortunately, we didn't, because of the objections that we raised at the initial time.
Let me quickly bring in our correspondent, Dr. Akiade, who was also observing the entire proceedings. Sagir, if you're still there, can you speak to the orderliness of that hearing, and whether, from start till when it ended, there was some form of procedural following, so to speak, of that meeting? Did it start on a raucous note and ended on a raucous note? Did it look like that entire committee had a grip of what they were doing?
Thank you,
Well,
Adishra, for that question.
I'm
It initially was rowdy indeed, and I must say that it ended up, the committee hearing ended quite abruptly, especially because the petitioners were still hitting on their case, which is we will not be able to continue with this matter until you have addressed the issues. One, which is the chairman of the committee has to recuse himself because of statements that he has made. Second, we need a reconstitution of this panel because we're not sure if the persons who are sitting right before us are going to deliver us the fair hearing that we so demanded. At some point, of course, there were interventions from some lawmakers, including Senator Patrick Nwabweze, who had also cautioned the petitioners to, express or exercise calm, if you would say. He brought it to the attention of the petitioners that, yes, indeed, there were indeed processes, and especially at the Senate and in a Senate hearing, the Senate rule book takes precedence. Well, he did that as much as he could, but I would say, unfortunately, he didn't do so much to assuage the tensions, of course, that were very, very evident on the floor of the hearing. And this was simply because it didn't seem like the lawmakers who were in charge or who were who were in charge of the investigation, as the case may be, seemed to be listening, to the petitioners. So unfortunately, at some point it seemed calm, but it didn't really end on a calm note. Thank
you so much, Sagir. Let me come back to you, Dr. Kiode. Now that the matter has been adjourned indefinitely, where does that leave this case?
That was not adjourned indefinitely, so let's make that point.
All right, that's what's being reported, that they adjourned it indefinitely. That's what we're hearing.
No. That wasn't what happened. What happened was that while we're making those arguments, and we said this is the condition upon which you can proceed. So they came up with the court processes, which was filed by the wife of Senator Akpabio on defamation, against Senator Natasha. And they told us that it's sub judice and that they don't also think that. And they asked Senator Akpabio's counsel to address the House, which he did by saying that those matters were before the court. So indirectly what they were saying is that the matter that we were seated to hear today were already before the court. And so the committee does not have the power, to continue with that matter. That was how it ended. They didn't adjourn. It was not an adjournment. And we agreed with them. If they feel that the court will do better, because what this had then proven is that Senator Natasha has done all the administrative things that she needed to do. Mm-hmm. She has done all the internal domestic home. So if they said we should go to court, yeah, then that's a better way, to resolve the matter. At least it will be before a judge that is fair and proper. So that was what happened. They didn't adjourn the matter.
Right.
The matter was closed by the honorable. That was the impression we got.
Dr. Kiode, in fact, I'm looking at the cable now. The cable is reporting that the case was closed. We looked at the Latin word that they reportedly said the Senate used. It also sounded like it was adjourned indefinitely. But of course, the argument of the court, the fact Marcel insists that this matter is already in court, so they're going to stay off it. Clearly, we don't know what's going to happen next. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. And I just want to quickly say here that News Central reached out to Senate President's lawyer, Monde Ubani, but somehow we couldn't get him on the show tonight to come and give us their own account of what transpired on the floor today. You will insist that Senator Natasha has video and documentary evidence of everything that transpired, and in that petition, Ubani insists that no such thing exists. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. This case is not going anywhere soon, but I would like to thank both of you for coming tonight to tell us what you know. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, EFCC rearraigns former National Security Adviser Col Sambo Dasuki. Details of this when we come back after this short break. Here's the Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. I'm Adesewa Josh. A reminder of our top stories. Temper flares during Senate hearing on Senator Akpoti Uduaghan's sexual harassment allegation as INEC faults petition to recall her. House of Representatives passes 39 bills on constitutional amendment for second reading in Tuesday plenary. And at least 270 children killed in Israeli week-long attacks on Gaza. 39 constitutional amendment bills addressing key areas such as the judiciary, legislature, security, and electoral reforms have passed their second reading in the House of Representatives. The leader of the House, Julius Nwobere, led the motion for their consideration, highlighting key proposals, including an amendment that would make the recommendation of the National Judicial Council mandatory for the removal of heads of Nigerian courts. Another key proposal seeks to empower the Chief Justice of Nigeria to issue a proclamation for the inauguration of a new National Assembly. Also in focus is a bill advocating for the establishment of state and local government police forces, as well as a proposal to create a political party registration and regulatory commission to strengthen the oversight of political parties in the country.
A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to make recommendation of the National Judicial Council mandatory for the removal from office of heads of Nigerian courts and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Cap C-23, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2024 to provide for the establishment of the Ecclesiastical Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and the Ecclesiastical Court of Appeal of the States and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to make the Court of Appeal the final appeal court in governorship, national and state houses of assembly election petitions and for related matters. Second.
Those in support of this motion that will be read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The bills are referred to Committee on Constitutional Review.
Now let's bring in Abba Hikima, a constitutional lawyer. He joins me from Abuja to look at these proposed constitutional amendments. Thank you so much for joining us tonight from Kano. What are the primary objectives of this proposed constitutional reforms?
Thank you very much for having me. And I think the objectives of these bills are clear as read by the clerk. And some of these bills are bills that, the constitutional amendment points are really areas of the Constitution that should have been long amended before now, especially those that have to do with election petition and those that have to do with the NJC's recommendation for removal of, heads of court, and of course, those that have to do with the establishment of ecclesiastical courts in Abuja, and a lot of other, bills raised today are bills that will really go a long way in making Nigeria a better place. I agree.
And which of these proposed amendments stand out for you, apart from the ones you have already mentioned? We know we have the judiciary, we have the tweaks to the National Assembly. That's quite one to keep an eye on.
Well, I will talk to you about the establishment or the creation of state police. If you look at Section 214 of the Constitution of Nigeria, it clearly stipulates that you can only have the Nigerian police force as the only police that is, empowered to actually police the country. So by amending that particular section, it will give way for states, to establish their security structures, and to also allow state governments to establish state police. That will jettison the ongoing, informal security establishments, being established here and there, and create a formal police force that will be armed, well armed, to protect these states based on their own peculiarities and based on their needs. That is very timely. Also, if you look at the judiciary amendment, you would see that Nigerian judiciary, especially in election petition, is being overstretched and overreached because it is almost that the Nigerian judiciary is there to adjudicate on pre-election matters for about a year, because now you can begin to have primary elections about a year before the election. So they will take the whole year determining and adjudicating on primary election cases. And then after that, they will take another 1 year or so, determining election petitions after the elections now. So 2 years of of our time is being taken to adjudicate on political matters, pre-election and post-election. This has done so much damage to our judiciary and has really overstretched the already overstretched, judiciary, because these tribunals, the members are being handpicked from the present judiciary. The present courts that we have, from the magistrate, from the chief magistrate, you can be picked to determine election petitions up until the High Court and the Federal High Court. Although during the last election, the Federal High Court judges have been exempted, because they are the ones that exclusively dealt with all the pre-election matters. So I want to believe that this will go a long way in making us, making the country better by freeing some time for these judges to face other cases.
I want to believe this isn't the first time that such bills have been proposed. I do not have the data here with me, but as a lawyer, this isn't the first time, right?
It is not actually. These bills. A lot of times, and constitutionally, what happens is that if a bill is presented by a certain National Assembly, for example, the Senate, for example, you can see you have the 10th Senate now. Let's say the 9th Senate, for example, if they propose something and it dies before the end of that legislative tenure, then that's the end for it. Any subsequent set of the legislators will have to resuscitate, and bring back that bill, and it will have to go through the same process afresh.
Yeah.
So some of these reasons have been part of it. And other times, constitutional amendments are not like regular bills. If you want to amend the Constitution, you would have to involve the states. So there are times that some of these bills have been killed at state level, because if you pass it with 2/3 majority, you will have to take it down to the states, and the state will have to also pass it. The 36 House of Assemblies that we have will also have to pass that, sometimes with majority and sometimes also with 2/3 majority.
So,
on the nature of
the question here is, how optimistic are you that these bills will pass this time around? Will be signed into
although I am not entirely enthusiastic, I would say, by the way 39 bills are passed on the same day, although it is not unconstitutional. The Constitution has not said you cannot pass such number of bills on the same day, but looking at the legislative process, you will have to read these bills for the first time, which we call the first reading. You don't debate anything, you just read the title and the purpose, and then you go to the second reading where it is, debated, the general principles are being debated. I really expected a National Assembly which is divided across party lines, to have to debate this. I understand the majority leader has asked for, keeping aside some of these rules, but I expected the minority leader, to do something about that, to have some semblance of debate.
Right. Thank you so much, Haba Ikima, a constitutional lawyer, for joining us from Kano tonight. Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Former National Security Adviser Col Sambo Dasuki and 3 others were rearraigned before a Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja on Tuesday over alleged 33.2 billion naira fraud. Dasuki, alongside Aminu Baba-Kusa, a former general manager of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, and 2 companies, Acacia Holding Limited and Reliance Referral Hospital Limited, face a 32-count charge of criminal breach of trust and dishonest release of public funds. The rearrangement follows the reassignment of the case by the FCT Chief Judge, Justice Hussein Baba-Yusuf. Dasuki was initially arraigned in 2015 on a 19-count charge linked to 15.5 billion naira fraud, which was later amended and then rearraigned in 2018 on a fresh 32-count charge. The trial was stalled due to the prosecution presenting only 1 witness, and the case was indefinitely adjourned. Take a look at other news now. NLNG Shipping and Marine Services Limited has a new logo. The new logo, which was unveiled at an event in Lagos on Monday, aligns with that of its parent company. NLNG marks the beginning of a new era for the company as it rebrands to strengthen its position in the global maritime industry. News Center's Oluwakemi Alimi reports.
Shipping and Marine Services Limited, NSML, has unveiled a new company logo signifying a major milestone in its transformation into a top-tier integrated marine services provider. This rebranding highlights the company's ongoing growth, diversification, and expansion into new markets and service areas. Speaking at the event to launch the new logo, NSML's Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Abdul Kadir Ahmed, emphasized that the updated identity reflects NSML's dedication to excellence, sustainability, and collaborative success within the maritime industry.
In line with our strategic intent of be safe, be reliable, and create value, we'll continue to provide innovative and sustainable marine services, not only within the NLNG group, but within the Nigerian maritime space and African maritime space as well.
The logo features an advanced swivel in green, lemon, and blue, symbolizing NSML's agility, evolution, and expanding role as a world-class provider of integrated maritime services. As part of the NLNG group, the design also highlights NSML's critical role in linking energy production with international markets.
A success for us as NLNG means success of the NLNG group and inevitably the success of NSML. And we're proud of the brand affiliation. We know that the association helps us both, NLNG, the mother brand, and indeed NSML. For each entity, both as a group and NSML, we're really looking forward to a transformative future. So continue to watch this space.
Undoubtedly, engaging with the new brand and supporting the advancement of the industry through NSML will be beneficial to all. And as stakeholders in the maritime sector, it is important that we embrace the new brand with open mind in view of NSML's proven business prowess. And together we'll unlock new opportunities and shape the future of shipping operations in Nigeria and beyond. So the colors, the green represents our Nigerian heritage. The lemon, our ever-evolving business, the progress we're making, and then, of course, the blue, the seagoing nature of the business.
NSML, a champion of innovation and excellence in Nigeria's maritime sector, has significantly bolstered the country's position as a leading energy exporter over its 15-year operation. The company has evolved from a purely mining company to an integrated shipping, maritime, and marine services provider, offering top-notch services in the industry as it embarks on a rebranding initiative to pursue global excellence. In Lagos, for News Central, I am
Outside our shores, Russia and Ukraine have agreed to a ceasefire in the Black Sea, as well as the implementation of a ban on attacks on energy facilities. If implemented, the agreements could mark a major step towards a wider deal to end the 3-year-long war, which began when Russia launched a large-scale invasion of its smaller neighbor. The White House on Tuesday stated in 2 separate statements that the negotiators had agreed both countries would, quote, ensure safe navigation, eliminate the use of force, and prevent the use of commercial vehicles for military purposes in the Black Sea, end of quote. At least 170 Palestinian children have been killed in Gaza since Israel resumed its war on Gaza, marking some of the deadliest days for children since the war began. This is according to a report on Tuesday by a U.S.-based NGO, Save the Children. The organization said in a statement that the war's resumption is a death sentence for Gaza's children. According to Gaza's government media office, more than 50,000 people, including 17,900 children, have now been killed in Gaza since the war began in October 2023. Between Monday and Tuesday, the Israeli onslaught killed at least 62 Palestinians, including 7 children. Meanwhile, ceasefire talks in the Egyptian capital suffered a setback after an Israeli delegation left Cairo on Monday just after rejecting a new proposal. When we come back from this break, we'll be talking money, economy, sports, and entertainment. Just stay with us. Joanna joins me now with the latest in business news, and she'll be talking to us more about the FGN bond auction.
Yes, the results are out, and we'll dig into it on Business Tonight after this break.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The Debt Management Office has announced a total allotment of 4.686 billion naira for the 5-year federal government bond and 266.452 billion naira for the 9-year bond in its latest auction held on March 24, 2025. Strong investor demand for the 9-year bond, which cleared at 19.99%, contrasted with weaker interest in the 5-year bond, attracting only 59.069 billion naira in bids against 200 billion naira offered. The DMO maintained original coupon rates for both bonds amid varying market sentiments. And South African consumer confidence has dropped to its lowest level in nearly 2 years as worries about higher taxes and the country's deteriorating relations with the U.S. weighed on sentiment. A quarterly index measuring consumer sentiments fell to -20 in March from -6 previously, according to First Rand's First National Bank. Concerns over proposed tax increases, including a potential VAT hike to 16%, and deteriorating diplomatic relations with the U.S. have contributed to the decline. The bank warns that rising inflation and tighter monetary policy could further diminish household spending power, posing risks to the country's economic outlook. And coming to the NGX, maintaining momentum, keeping the market in the green today. The market is up marginally, though, 0.04%. We saw the market capitalization gain 26 billion naira today. And if we come to sectoral performances, the banks are still keeping that momentum. Sentiments are still positive ahead of earnings. We're seeing banks up 1.33%. Insurance as well up thanks to Mansard and Consolidated. Hallmark. Oil and gas is down. Sell-offs in Ardell is dragging that sector down 1.69%. Consumer goods as well. Dangote Sugar had some effect, but it's still marginal, down 0.01%. Industrial goods also relatively flat. That's Business Tonight. I am Joanna Mustafa. Tonight continues with Adeshewa.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Tunde Koiki joins me now with the latest in sports news. Sports news today, litmus test for Eric Shell, isn't it?
Absolutely. He's probably taking another cold shower right now, beachside somewhere in the hotel. But the Super Eagles failed to fly and flattered to deceive today. I'll tell you about all that and much more after the break.
I mean, to Zimbabwe. Come on.
Zimbabwe. Wow.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to Sports. Nigeria's Super Eagles' quest to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup suffered another setback after the 3-time African champions were held to a 1-1 draw by Zimbabwe at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo on Tuesday. Zimbabwe defended stoutly while the Super Eagles struggled to break them down. Eventually, former African Player of the Year Victor Osimhen opened the scoring in the 74th minute, heading home a cross from the left flank by Ola Aina. The Eagles seem to be coasting home to victory before 21-year-old midfielder Tawanda Cherewa broke into the box and slotted past Nigeria goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali to silence the premature celebrations of the 30,000 capacity crowd. Meanwhile, in Abuja, second half goals by Lyle Foster and Jaden Adams gave South Africa a 2-0 win over hosts Benin Republic, while Rwanda were held to a 1-0 draw at home by Lesotho. Now, these results mean Nigeria remain in 4th place in Group C, 6 points behind leaders South Africa, Rwanda and Benin Republic respectively, with 4 matches to go. The next set of qualifiers will be played in September this year. To some international football, Trent Alexander-Arnold is reportedly nearing a move to Real Madrid when his Liverpool contract expires at the end of the season. Talks between the 26-year-old defender and the Spanish giants are said to be progressing, with a free transfer looking increasingly likely. The England international, a product of Liverpool's academy, has been with the club for over 20 years and has won multiple major trophies, including the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League and the FIFA Club World Cup. He has been eligible to negotiate with overseas clubs since January. Alexander-Arnold, currently sidelined with an ankle injury, is among 3 key Liverpool players out of contract this summer, alongside Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. To some athletics now. World Athletics has approved the introduction of a cheek swab test to determine if an athlete is biologically female, aiming to protect the integrity of women's sports. Now, President Sebastian Coe described the decision as a crucial step in ensuring fair competition, emphasizing the importance of maintaining confidence in the female category. The policy follows extensive consultations with strong support for its implementation. Coe assured that the swab test is not overly intrusive and expressed confidence in its legal standing, citing previous victories at the Court of Arbitration for Sport regarding DSD regulations. He reaffirmed World Athletics' commitment to safeguarding women's sports, and the announcement comes a week after Coe finished 3rd in the race for the International Olympic Committee presidency. Still on athletics, Olympic champion Jacob Ingebrigtsen testified on Tuesday in the trial of his father, Geert Ingebrigtsen, who is accused of physically and psychologically abusing 2 of his children, Jacob and his sister Ingrid, for over 14 years. Speaking in a Norwegian court, the 24-year-old athlete described his upbringing as controlled by fear and manipulation. He recounted being forced into intense training and denied social activities as a child. The case follows allegations of slaps and kicks dating back to when Jacob was just under 8 years old. The 59-year-old denies the charges but faces up to 6 years in prison if convicted. The trial comes days after Jacob won 2 gold medals at the World Indoor Championships in China. And that's all we have on sports news tonight. It's back to you, Adeshawa.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Sam Dandy, in a double-breasted suit, is here tonight with the latest in entertainment news. You look fabulous. What do we have tonight?
Thank you so much for saying that. Well, entertainment, let's just say celebrities are calling out the government for different reasons, and Kanye has a new project out. I'll tell you all about it after this quick break.
All right, then.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
In the detailed entertainment, Nigerian singer Madrina, formerly called Cynthia Morgan, has called on President Bola Tinubu to address the unbearable hardship Nigerians are facing since the fuel subsidy removal. In a recent TikTok video, she expressed regret over her initial support for the administration's decision, stating that while the move was necessary, the country isn't ready for the shock. Speaking about how hard it affected her, she said, "Are you guys feeling what I'm feeling?" Suggesting the government roll back at least 50% of the subsidy to ease the pain. The one-time music household name even teased, saying, "Please, let's not rant. Let us do a begging challenge. Let's beg the government to help us." Now, although there's been some online conversation about the role celebrities play in speaking out and using their online platform and massive fan base to such matters, Nigerian comedian and recent AMVCA nominee Mr. Macaroni had a few things to say. He responded to an online call to unfollow celebrities who stay silent about the country's issues. Now, while some fans criticize Nigerian stars for these silence or for their silence, Mr. Macaroni defended them, saying that activism shouldn't be forced on celebrities. He posted on X saying, when Nigerians truly want change, the people will not wait for any celebrity. He even added that the reason why Nigerian politicians are so corrupt and reprehensive is because they know that the people would never hold them accountable. Meanwhile, speaking about corruption, in Ghana, rapper Edem reacted to corruption allegations against former DG for National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Adu-Bwahine, accused of embezzling $7 million meant for cybersecurity defense system. Edem expressed outrage on social media, shouting, "We dey suffer, we dey suffer. See the stealing, you dey steal," mirroring the frustration of many Ghanaians who have reacted to the news as the case continues to unfold. Now, these strong reactions show a growing demand for accountability and real change in both Western African countries. And of course, the ongoing conversation of whether celebrities have the responsibility to speak out. Let me ask Acacia. Acacia, what do you think? Should celebrities speak out by fire, by force, or not?
To each his own. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you don't have to force it on people.
Right.
If your brand allows you to do it. Remember, there's a whole team behind every celebrity. So if your team says, they look at your brand and they look at, they look at how your placement in the market, and they can tell you this set of commentary will backfire. This and everything has a price on it, right? So sometimes you do it, it blows in your face. Sometimes you do it, it adds to your branding. It works for your branding. So it's always a gamble, and you can't force anyone to do it, to be honest, because you know what? They're still in the business of making money.
Well, that is true. Well, we'll see what happens. I feel like Nigerians, we definitely will complain about things, but hey, if the celebrities do put their voice to it, maybe that might cause some change. Let's move to the international scene. Controversial American superstar Kanye West is back in the news. The music star has finally dropped his highly anticipated album, Bully, but it's quite an unusual release. Now, the Bully album has different versions on different streaming platforms. Now, the YouTube version features 10 songs, while the now deleted Apple Music version is missing a few things. A track called Melrose featuring T.Y. Dolla $ign and Playboi Carti. Now, this points back to the recent fallout between the stars. The Apple version also rearranges the track list and includes Mexican star Piso Pluma as the only feature on the song Last Breath. The album was dropped along with a 45 minutes, a video titled Bully V1, uploaded to YouTube. The visuals features Kanye West's son, Saint, fighting wrestlers in the ring while the track plays in the background. Now, although West initially announced a release date for June the 15th, 2025, fans have enjoyed multiple surprise versions released from the 18th of March. Now, Bully has already received some positive feedback as fans expect a more finished version with less AI across all the streaming platforms soon. This one's interesting because, for Kanye, who is a music mogul, to incorporate AI, and he's saying he's no longer a fan, I don't know what to expect, but maybe we'll get a fuller, more complete version very soon. Those are no doubt the biggest stories in entertainment. I'm Sam Dandy.
And that's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. Temper flares during Senate hearing on Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's sexual harassment allegation as INEC files petition to recall her. House of Representatives passes 39 bills on constitutional amendments for second reading in Tuesday plenary. And at least 270 children killed in Israeli week-long attacks on Gaza. Remember, you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number coming up on your screen right now. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central TV live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, AVO TV, and on YouTube. We would like to thank you for watching. I'm Adesewa Josh. I'll see you on Wednesday.